What if I told you the castor oil actually works for menopause belly fat, but almost every woman applying it in completely the wrong place? And I'm not talking about belly button drops or foot soaking or any of those trends you've been seeing everywhere. There's one specific method, one specific spot, and one specific reason why it targets the deep visceral fat that's been strangling your metabolism since menopause started. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what it is. Today, I'm breaking down 7 real benefits of castor oil for menopause, and I'm counting down to the number 1 use that actually addresses the problem at its root. Benefit 7. Castor oil feeds starving skin. Let's start with something you can see and feel immediately. Benefit 7 is about your skin, and what's happening to it during menopause is not just cosmetic, it's a hormone story. I remember when I first noticed my skin changing, and it felt like I woke up one day and everything was just thinner. When estrogen drops, your skin loses its cushion fast because estrogen was doing a quiet, underappreciated job of keeping fat cells plump right under the surface. When those hormone levels crash, that layer starts to disappear, which means the skin thins out and starts to look like cracked leather on your hands and neck almost overnight. Regular moisturizers just sit on top of the surface, and they don't really do anything except coat the problem. Castor oil is different because the ricinoleic acid in it, which makes up about 90% of the oil, actually penetrates through multiple skin layers into the tissue underneath. A study from 2011 confirmed this penetration goes way deeper than the surface, which means the fat-depleted tissue under your skin is finally getting something to drink. Warm a small amount between your palms until it's about body temperature, then press it into your face and neck. Don't rub it around like a normal lotion, just press, hold, and let it absorb. If you do that before bed, you'll feel the difference in your skin within days. But fixing the outside means nothing if the inside is still on fire, and that's exactly what Benefit 6 is about. Benefit 6. Castor oil greases rusty joints. Here is something nobody ever connects for you. The same hormonal hijacking that is stealing the fat from under your skin is also destroying your joints. And that is because estrogen was never just about having babies. It was actually your body's built-in anti-inflammatory shield. I remember when I first seeing this in people. 1 month they were fine, and the next their knees felt like rusty hinges that hadn't been oiled in a decade. You wake up stiff, you're aching by the afternoon, and your ankles are swollen for no reason you can even explain. But here is what makes it so much worse. Those visceral fat cells in your belly are actively pumping out inflammatory chemicals that make joint pain feel 2 to 10 times more intense than it actually is. That fat isn't just sitting there looking bad in photos, it is literally attacking your mobility. Now, ricinoleic acid targets the exact same prostaglandin pathway that ibuprofen works on, but it does it without the gut damage or the nasty side effects. Back in the year 2000, a study in the journal Inflammation found that ricinoleic acid reduces those inflammatory responses through those specific pathways. To fix this, you just soak a cotton cloth in warm castor oil and wrap it around that aching knee or hip. Cover the whole thing with a towel and let it sit there for 20 to 30 minutes while you relax. Your joints aren't actually broken or old, they're just inflamed and bone dry, and castor oil gives them the one thing they have been missing since your hormone levels dropped off a cliff. But wait, because this next part is where it gets really weird. Benefit 5 attacks something that has been quietly wrecking your sleep and packing fat onto your belly at the exact same time. Benefit 5. Castor oil kills the cortisol spike. You know the feeling. You wake up at 3 in the morning, wide awake, with your heart racing and your brain spinning for no obvious reason. You probably blamed the neighbor's dog or a bad habit, but that is not what is happening. That 3 a.m. wake up is a massive cortisol spike, and cortisol is the single biggest driver of menopause belly fat that nobody is willing to name. Look, cortisol is just your body's alarm hormone, and it exists to keep you alive when you're in danger. But during menopause, the hormonal hijacking your body is going through causes cortisol to fire at the worst possible times. It floods your system when you should be in deep recovery, and when that happens, your fat cells get a very specific signal to hold on and lock everything down. That visceral fat wrapped around your organs becomes basically immune to diet and exercise as long as cortisol is running the show. This is where castor oil enters the conversation in a way most people never even consider. When you lie still with a warm pack on your body and feel that heat spreading through your skin, your nervous system finally reads that signal as safety. It starts shifting out of that fight or flight state, where cortisol lives, and moves into the rest and digest mode, where fat can actually start moving again. The warmth combined with the ricinoleic acid helps lower the stress load your body is carrying, which stops it from pushing so much cortisol into your bloodstream. You want to do this liver pack right before bed. Place it on your right side, just under the rib cage, and put a heating pad on top for 30 to 45 minutes. Do this 3 or 4 nights every week. Since your liver is most active while you sleep, timing the pack this way gives your body support exactly when it needs it most. Women who do this consistently usually stop staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. within a few weeks because the fat cycle is finally getting interrupted at the source. But here's the thing. Even if you start sleeping like a baby, if your gut is backed up and bloated, that fat is going to stay exactly where it is. Benefit 4. Castor oil unclogs the backed up gut. Menopause slows everything down. And I'm not just talking about your metabolism or your mood. Your gut physically hits the brakes. Digestion gets sluggish, motility drops off a cliff, and bioflow slows to a crawl. The whole system starts backing up like a bathroom drain full of hair. And most doctors will just tell you this is part of getting older and there's nothing you can do. But there is a direct physical reason this is happening to you. Estrogen and progesterone aren't just for making babies. They actually act like traffic cops that keep your intestines moving at the right pace. When those hormone levels tank, your gut loses its 2 main regulators, and suddenly you're dealing with constipation, constant bloating, and a belly that feels stretched tight even when you haven't eaten a thing. Now, here is the fat connection that nobody ever explains clearly. When your gut backs up, the estrogen your liver already processed and sent down for the exit doesn't actually leave your body. It just sits there in your intestines. Gut bacteria then break that waste back down into an active form, and your body reabsorbs it right back into your bloodstream. That recycled estrogen is dirty estrogen. It's old hormonal trash that your liver already tried to throw out once. When it floods back in, it drives estrogen dominance, which means more fat storage, more bloating, and more of that stubborn weight you can't shift no matter how little you eat. I remember when I first realized how this worked, it felt like a light bulb went off because it explains why eating clean doesn't always work if the pipes are broken. Ricinoleic acid in castor oil directly activates EP3 receptors in your gut lining. That is the exact same receptor pathway the FDA recognized when they approved castor oil as a stimulant laxative years ago. By applying it topically to your lower belly, you increase circulation and lymphatic movement through the gut wall itself, which gets things moving again without the nasty cramps you'd get from drinking the stuff. Think of it this way. You can't flush a toilet if the pipe behind it is completely clogged, and it doesn't matter how many times you jiggle the handle. If you fix the pipe, everything the body was trying to get rid of finally leaves. The fat-driving hormonal waste stops circling back into your system, and that belly that was swollen from trapped gas and old bile finally starts to settle down. And that clogged pipe feeds directly into the next problem, because your lymphatic system is the drainage network that almost no one talks about. Right now, in menopause, there is a very good chance your internal drainage has turned into a stagnant swamp. One thing before we move on, Everything I share on this channel, the nutrition, the training, the tracking, it all lives inside my Fit Over 40 community. Benefit 3. Castor oil flushes the lymphatic swamp. Your lymphatic system is easily the most ignored part of your entire body, and during menopause, it is almost certainly in a state of total crisis. Think of it as a sewage system running right alongside your bloodstream. Its job is to collect dead cells, hormonal junk, immune waste, and environmental toxins from every single tissue you have. It picks all that garbage up and hauls it towards your liver so you can get rid of it. The problem is that unlike your blood, which has your heart pumping it 24 hours a day, your lymph has no pump at all. It moves only when you move, through muscle contractions, deep breathing, and physical stimulation. Now, let's add the menopause factor to that equation. High cortisol makes your lymph fluid thick and sticky, while low hormone levels slow the whole system down to a crawl. If you've been stressed, sedentary, or sleeping badly, which most of us are because of those cortisol spikes, that lymph fluid stops moving almost entirely. It pools and stagnates. It literally turns into a swamp sitting inside your body, and your fat cells are basically marinating in it. You know that puffy face you see in the mirror every morning? Or those swollen ankles? What about that brain fog that won't lift even after you finally get a full night of sleep? That isn't just aging. That is a stagnant lymphatic system failing to drain the waste that's been building up since your hormones crashed. And here is the part where it gets ugly for your weight loss goals. When lymph stops moving, the hormonal waste your body was trying to clear out, things like old estrogen fragments and cortisol-soaked cellular debris, just sits in your tissues. That squishy fat on your upper arms, your inner thighs, or the back of your neck isn't just fat. A huge part of what you're feeling when you grab it is a swamp of trapped hormonal garbage that your lymphatic system simply gave up on trying to carry out. A study published in the Journal of Naturopathic Medicine actually found that castor oil packs can increase lymphocyte production and jumpstart lymphatic circulation. Lymphocytes are your immune cells, and when they start multiplying and moving, the whole lymphatic network wakes up with them. The waste your body has been hoarding finally starts flowing toward the liver where it belongs. When you apply the pack over your abdomen with a little bit of heat, the ricinoleic acid signals the surrounding tissue to wake up. It's not irritating. It's more like putting gentle pressure on a backed-up garden hose until everything starts draining again. I've seen women do this for just 2 weeks and report that the puffiness drops off their face first, then their ankles. That isn't just random water weight disappearing. It's your lymphatic drainage finally doing its job again. This leads us straight into the reason all of this actually matters, and it's the one benefit that the viral belly button trend is completely missing. Benefit 2. Castor oil helps flush dirty estrogen. Stop me if this sounds familiar. You're postmenopausal, and your doctor just told you your estrogen levels are officially low. But here's the weird part. Your belly is still expanding, your moods are swinging wildly, and your body is holding on to fat in the exact same spots it did back when you still had a period. You're probably wondering how low estrogen can still cause all these high estrogen problems. It's because low doesn't mean gone, and more importantly, gone doesn't mean clean. I remember when I first looked into how the liver handles hormones, and it's honestly like a 24/7 waste management facility that never gets a day off. Even after menopause, your liver is still stuck processing these old estrogen metabolites, which are basically just the used-up scraps left behind after your body finishes using the hormone. To get rid of them, your liver has to package them up, send them through your bile into the intestines, and flush them out of your system for good. It's doing all of this while managing 500 other jobs at the exact same time, from filtering your blood to balancing whatever is left of your hormonal system. The problem starts when your liver gets overloaded, and let's be honest, In menopause, it's always overloaded. Between the high cortisol, the terrible sleep, and a sluggish gut, your liver is basically drowning in extra work. When those estrogen fragments don't get processed fast enough, they start to back up and spill into your gut. This is where things get messy because your gut bacteria can actually reactivate that waste, sending it right back into your bloodstream as dirty estrogen. This dirty estrogen is a total nightmare because it doesn't act like the healthy stuff at all. Instead of helping you, it signals your fat cells to store even more weight around your belly and hips, and it even blocks the receptors that should be listening to the tiny bit of good estrogen you still have left. It creates this massive hormonal traffic jam in your body that no amount of dieting or calorie counting can actually fix. But when you apply a castor oil liver pack directly on your right side under your ribs, you're putting ricinoic acid right where the heaviest processing happens. This simple move increases local circulation and supports the lymphatic drainage that's trying to clear out that hormonal swamp we just talked about. By helping your gut move things along, you're shortening the window those dirty estrogen fragments have to get reabsorbed, making sure they actually leave your body instead of recycling. Now, you have to be careful here because quality is absolutely non-negotiable. If you use cheap castor oil that was extracted with hexane, which is a petroleum-based solvent, you're just dumping more toxins onto an organ that's already working 3 shifts with no breaks. You'll end up making the problem way worse, which is why we need to talk about the number 1 benefit that ties this whole thing together. Benefit 1, the liver pack protocol that targets visceral fat. This is the big one. This is the specific method that makes every other benefit on this list actually work for you. Your liver isn't just some filter. It's the command center of your entire body, performing over 500 documented functions every single day. It handles every drop of your blood and manages your fat metabolism. But visceral fat, that deep, nasty tissue strangling your organs, likes to wrap itself directly around the liver first. As that fat builds up, it literally chokes the very organ responsible for burning fat in the first place. It's a total trap where the fat suffocates the only thing that could actually get rid of it. The liver pack is how you break out of that trap. It's not some random internet trend. It's a targeted way to get ricinoic acid directly to the organ doing all the heavy lifting. Right now, you might be thinking about that belly button method where you just put a few drops in your navel, but that's just for general maintenance. The liver pack is the actual treatment, and the difference between the two is like the difference between lightly misting a lawn and actually irrigating the roots of a dying tree. Here is exactly how you set this up. First, you need organic, cold-pressed, hexane-free castor oil that comes in a dark glass bottle, because light and plastic will both ruin the oil before you even use it. Get a piece of natural cotton or flannel that you don't mind getting messy and saturate it until it's wet but not dripping. Lay down, place that cloth on your right side just below your rib cage and cover it with an old towel. Put a heating pad on top, set it to low or medium, and just relax there for 30 to 45 minutes. I usually tell people to do this right before bed because it's so relaxing, but the heat part is definitely not optional. The warmth drives the ricinoic acid much deeper into your tissues than it would at room temperature, and it also kicks your circulation into high gear. You're essentially giving your liver a jump start and a fresh oil change at the same time, which helps it produce more bile and process waste way more effectively. Try to do this 3 or 4 nights a week, but you have to give it at least 4 to 6 weeks before you decide if it's working.